5 crypto coin portfolio that outbeats the S&P 500. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name's Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet. This is the only video I'm going to do today. I might do one for members, but you know, the market did have its pullback as expected, as I just talked about the other day. So Bitcoin had its pullback, came up, test roughly this red line, had that extra little push up, wicked off, and then had a continuation downwards, and then started to bottom out. So with our recent one, we had that pullback. We didn't have a major push up, so there's still the possibility of that before getting one more rejection, but it is looking pretty healthy for potentially a double bottom. It's already pulled back about the maximum that we'd want to see for Bitcoin, but for the title, I don't even know. Like almost all cryptos outbeat the S&P 500, so that's kind of irrelevant. But a couple keywords so Gemini can pick this up and pump it out to some people. BlackRock, Sophie Rain, Sophie Delmar, what else? Who's famous? Jack Black, some other thing that's related to crypto, MicroStrategy. So enough of the keywords. But I do think Bitcoin still has the possibility to pull back. We have nothing set in stone here, even though that does look like some pretty decent support right around this area. Is there anything in the news? Well, they're talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, so that's always nice. Let's actually move right on into XRP. XRP, as I always say, dollar cost average. Keep stacking your XRP, even though it is going down. XRP is going to be one of the biggest players in the game. It went from way down in the ranks to like number 3, right below Bitcoin and Ethereum. Even though it's so cheap, just because Ethereum's nearly $4,000, or it was, and Bitcoin's was at 100,000, and XRP's only at $2, but it's number 3, that should be telling you something that XRP has a very long way to go to start hitting its all-time high. So, I mean, seeing as how Ethereum used to be $100, now it's $4,000. XRP is $2. To see it at $100 is not unfathomable. As by 2030, we should be well over $1,000 per XRP. So it's definitely a good idea to stack it, 10 years, or I guess 5 years. 5 years can go by very quickly. The past 10 years or 11 years have gone by very quickly. And I've been trading crypto throughout those years. I've seen the pullbacks. I've seen what can happen. I've seen people get liquidated for no reason, and then it just takes off. So keep stacking your XRP. No matter if it's going down or up, you need to be stacking your bag of XRP. It's not financial advice. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not free money. So it's something where you're putting your money into it, and instead of like the dollar that decreases in value over the years, XRP will be increasing in value over the years, and it burns itself with every transaction. If you don't know what that means, it means you have $1 million. Well, you light $1 on fire every time you spend $1, something similar to that. So over the course of time, the dollar will become more valuable instead of less valuable, and you will be able to stake your XRP. For those of you who haven't liked and subscribed, I need like 50 more people so I can see the analytics, so definitely do that. Donate if you want. 50% goes to save animals' lives. The other 50% will go to get me new technology and microphones, so you guys can hear me if you can't hear my voice. That's where my first payout will go, besides saving animals' lives. So XRP would be one of my top picks. XCN, as I always talk about it. For those of you guys who are panicking, just don't do it. We are waiting to see what XCN is going to do, if it is going to fully break out of this red downward trend line. It is a possibility. I recently placed this red trend line right here at around 0.00365 because I was going back in history. We see that we had resistance right here with this wick off, but more so we had resistance right here, and going back even further, this was considered support. So that's more or less where we could be seeing this pull back to, testing it as support, because we've seen it push up and then come down, test this, and then going in reverse, it would be increase in price to the 1 cent, to the 1.8, which we already did this, and then all the way up here to 0.04 to 0.05. So this is really where we had that major resistance. We did not make it up to the 618, which is at 0.065. Still a possibility, still more than likely going to happen. But don't take my word for it. You guys got to put your money where your mouth is, and I'm definitely putting my money where my mouth is, which is nearly like 90 to 99% into crypto. So XCN, XRP are definitely some of my two bigger bags. Even though they are pulling back and I could be down a bunch of money, I'm just holding on because I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. There's typical pullbacks. And when we're looking at XCN, we see it was trying to build a base, but then with our random line that we have here, trying to figure out what's going to happen next. As soon as it broke that, we see everybody and their grandma sold, and then it started to push down towards this red trend line again. The liquidity sweep may not be pushing all the way down to 0.003. It is still a possibility. We may get a little support here at 0.0037. I know that doesn't seem like much of a difference. It's a pretty big difference in percentage-wise. That's about 20%. So 20% differential, but I want you to keep in mind we are still building higher lows in the RSI. And a little bit of volume in XCN does astronomical things for the coin. We see that we are a little oversold in the RSI, trying to build support on top of the yellow line. And then blip, one little bit of volume, and this thing skyrocketed 200 and something percent. I'm always using that as an example because that's the most recent one. But even back here, we're in the green on the CM Guppy, and then the volume is almost nothing, but we are above the 50 in the RSI, and then blip, push majorly up to the 1.5 from months of trading around the 0.002s. And then you could even go back further in history, but we'll ignore that because this video is getting a little bit longer. Tornado Cash, if you're looking for, anonymous, to be more anonymous and wash your money. I am not saying this is tax evasion in any way, YouTube. It's just a very nice coin where you can wash your currency, and you can use Tornado Cash to switch it around. Pretty much, for example, you send Bitcoin, you want to send it to an anonymous wallet, so it's like off the record. You can take that Bitcoin, go to Tornado Cash website, do the transaction. They take their cut of the Bitcoin, a small fee. It goes through a bunch of different computers, and then it arrives into the anonymous wallet. So there's not really a good way to track on who has that cryptocurrency. That is no way whatsoever tax evasion. It's nothing illegal. Vladimir Putin, the guy who created Ethereum, is backing this, and we've seen right whenever he did start to back this, it was actually right in this date on August 6th. We had the major pullback. He started to back Tornado Cash, and we had consistent upside. So we did start testing lower highs, a little concerning, and we broke back down underneath the upward trend line and underneath the $11, which we did not want to see. But it's nothing dramatic. It's nothing to be freaking out about. Because if you want to see these high price points, like all this, let's do something like this. You want this right here? You want that? Is that what you want? Well, you can't have it unless you do some pullbacks and consolidation. For the most part, to get to new all-time highs, come on, let's delete this. To get to new all-time highs, you have to have a strong consolidation, a strong foundation and base, and some type of pullback. So the pullback underneath that base is actually necessary. Even though it broke that $11 mark, you typically don't want to see it. Think of it as a rubber band. You have to pull it back to launch up to the next point. And when we start hitting that $25 mark, what do you expect is going to happen? most likely a pullback to launch up to the next part around 40. And then once we hit that 40, that is a key resistance level for Tornado Cash. And if you want to trade Tornado Cash, you can trade it on MEXC. There is a reference link in the description below. I always recommend using VPN if you're going to start joining onto MEXC. If you joined and they kicked you out, I recommend doing an email and putting it under VPN before entering into MEXC. So that's no way advertising anything, YouTube, so don't give me a mark for explaining the best practices on how to trade cryptocurrency. None of this is financial advice either. This is my pure opinion, but I've seen amazing things happen with Tornado Cash. All-time high is 459, as I constantly explain. We are at 10, roughly $11. So there's a long way to go, even if you're cashing out here at 284. That's still a ridiculous amount of money for a $10 investment. Tornado Cash would be one of my go-tos on top of XRP and XCN. I do have some XYO. I'm going to avoid it at the moment, and I am going to bring in QNT and Compound. QNT is another one of my holdings. Almost everything I talk about is a holding, so I'm definitely putting my money where my mouth is. And somebody, I think it was Ryan, was asking me about double bottoms or triple bottoms, or somebody else. But this on QNT would be more so what we could consider a triple bottom. It's nothing set in stone yet, as we have not had a daily close, but you can see here's one. More or less here, I guess you could consider it here, or here. Boom, boom, boom. So 1, 2, 3, and big W for the win. So now that we have laid out a base for QNT, I personally think there's nowhere else to go but up. So even if Bitcoin pulls back, it would be a liquidity sweep, but it's showing pretty consistent strength to start building to the upside. Why do I say that? Just looking at the chart, mainly because of this right there. Why is that showing beneficial information? Well, because we are a little oversold, but we are building higher lows. We are forming a W, and this needs to cross over the yellow for a confirmation, in my opinion. And if we can get that cross, we can see this thing rip right back up. Because the last time we were down here around the $72, what was that? It was about... it's about a week. 50% increase from this price level. So, I mean, 7 days to go 50% is pretty insane. Just compare that to the S&P 500. What is it? An average of 10% a year, 50% in 7 days. My God, that's insane. But QNT, definitely a go-to for utility. Definitely a very high potential to start pushing upwards as well. 420 is the previous high. I personally think we are going to see around 1,500 when altcoin season takes off. It's just a matter of time. We are just waiting it out to see what Bitcoin's going to be doing. And the last one, was it Muhammad or somebody was asking me about Compound. I brought Compound up in previous videos. I got rid of it just because it just kept continuing downwards. I still do own Compound myself, even with its major retracement. But this is really about as low as we want Compound to go, in my opinion. Keeping in mind, none of this is financial advice. You guys are here to heed my opinion, and if you guys make money off of my opinion, more power to you. Definitely donate 10% to me. That would be awesome, because this crypto altcoin season is going to be absolutely epic when it does take off. Compound has a very strong possibility. Come on, iPad, work with me to start pushing back up to the upside. I am lagging out like a mofo. Let's go. Let's refresh. I don't know. I'm trying to show you guys information, but 32 gigabytes are the ridiculous RAM that's on this thing. I might be lagged out, so I might have to end the video. There we go. I don't even know why that happened. Yeah, but QNT, for the price point it's at, we've seen this price point multiple times. Oh, I was talking about compound. That's why. Sorry, guys. Ridiculous. I got about $50, well, $25 for animals and then $25 for me. I'm pretty sure iPads cost more than that, and I do not want a refurbished iPad because I've seen how that goes. So now that we have a little bit more movement and we're not lagging out, this is essentially the previous bottom. You could also do another previous bottom from the more recent time frame right here. That would be essentially the fair value gap we are working within. Volume is picking up. We are underneath the 200 EMA, obviously, but what could we do with these downward trend lines? Let's see what we can make of this. I might just have to end this, dude. I don't know. Why would it lag out so fucking hard? That's insane. Oh, yep, that's it for this video, but I guess I'll just keep speaking and hopefully it picks it up. Compound is at a very, very low point. I'm personally holding on because it does move insanely quick. You can see back in July, it went from around this price range to around $80, which is 3-4x. And then it had its major retracement. So we could see $24 going to 80 again before getting that quick resistance, pulling back, and then it's got a long way to go to hit the top. I think it's all-time high. It's pretty insane. You can see I had some buy listings back here. Whenever I first started trading it, I said, oh, that's a good opportunity. And it went from $60 to nearly $1,000. $60 to $1,000. I don't know what else you can invest your money into to turn $60 into $1,000 besides cryptocurrency. $20 to hit its all-time high, $20 turning into $1,000. How many $20 would you be throwing at this to make a ridiculous amount of money? If I had a job, I would be putting every paycheck into this. I guess that's a lie. I'd kind of wait and see if we get some support. But compound is definitely one of my go-tos personally. Volume's picking up. We are at an almost absolute low. And this is more for a lending coin. So the people who want to grab more liquidity, compound's a very good bet. But I've seen compound in the past go from 60 to nearly 1,000. I do not put it past itself to go from $25 to a minimum of $500. Personally, if you have not entered, I would wait for it to cross the 200 EMA. Yeah, that might be 100% more expensive, being at the $40 mark, but it'd be worth it if it holds above that $40 mark, because you could see something like this where it pushes up and then gets through rejection again. But I do have faith in compound. I do think compound's not a bad bet. Maybe throw 20 bucks at it. It's not financial advice, but you know, people gamble all the time. This is a pretty decent gamble if we get that support. Altcoin season is on its way, so do not panic. Almost anything that you're going to be buying in crypto at this point in time with this bleeding out process, you're going to more than likely make profit on almost anything that you buy. So don't panic sell. Don't sell at a loss. Don't sell at a break even. Ride the wave up and enjoy your profits. Send me 10%, like, subscribe, donate, and I will see you guys on the next one.